guys, this is going to be the tutorial that's going to show you how to make this elegant baby blanket. To make this blanket, for this purple one over here, it actually took like, it took 3. This was my 3rd, but this one is 300 meters. So it took me just 3 skeins of yarn to finish this one. 2 and then some of this one. And for this blanket here that has 100 grams, 240 meters. This one took me 3 full skeins, and then I have this much left of my 4th. So I would say to make this blanket, you need 4 skeins of yarn. And this is worsted weight yarn, which is 10 ply for Australia and 4 ply for the US. Also, you're going to need a 5mm hook or a size H hook. And for the beginning chain, just because you want to make it a little looser, I recommend going up 1 hook size, which is a size 6mm or size J, just to make the beginning chain, and then switch over to the 5mm hook. Or you could use your 5mm hook and do the single crochet foundation stitch. It's up to you, but you want your beginning chain to not be tighter than the rest of the blanket. So go ahead and grab those things and we'll get started. Okay, to begin, go ahead and leave yourself a little bit of a tail so that you can work it into your blanket later. Grab your 6mm hook if you're doing the chains. And what you want to do is you want to chain an even number. So you single crochet your very first stitch, which will bring you down to 1 number less, which will make it an odd number. So what I did is I chained 100, and then when I did my first single crochet, it brought me down to 99. If you're doing the single crochet foundation stitch, then do 99 single crochet foundation stitches. But if you're doing the chain like I'm going to show here, go ahead and chain an even number. For the baby blanket size that I did 100, but if you want to make a queen size or something like that, then I don't know the exact number, just do an even number. So for this purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to be using thicker yarn, so you'll see my stitches a little better. And I'm going to do 20, a chain of 20. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 13, 20. So make sure 2, 4, 6, 8, 16, 18, 20. Okay, so once you got your chain done, you want to switch over to your 5mm hook, and then you're ready to begin row 1. For row 1, you want to do a single crochet worked in the 2nd chain from the hook. And then you want to do a single crochet down your whole chain. So continue to single crochet down your chain, and I'll see you back here in a moment. Okay, when you make it to the end of your row, you want to do a chain of 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then you want to turn. Then you'll be skipping 1 stitch, and then the next stitch you want to slip stitch. And then you'll repeat that same thing over and over again. You'll chain 3, skip a stitch, and then the next stitch, slip stitch. Chain 3, skip the next stitch, and then the next stitch, slip stitch. Continue to do this all the way down your chain. Your single crochet row. When you get to the end of your row, you should end it perfectly with skipping 1 stitch and slip stitching in the last stitch. And that's row 2. So for rows 3 through 6, so for the next 4 rows, you're going to be repeating this next row I'm about to show you. what you do is you chain 3, turn, and then you're going to slip stitch in your chain 3 space. Then chain 3 and slip stitch in your next chain 3 space. So you're just going to be doing chain 3, slip stitch in your next chain 3 space. And you want to continue to do this all the way to the end of your row. And when you get to the end of your row, just slip stitch in the very last chain 3 space, then you'll chain 3 and then turn. And then you'll be doing the same thing. Make sure that you do your last chain 3 slip stitch into this little chain 3 space on the end. Make sure you don't miss it. So continue to do that. You just did 2 rows, so now you need to do 3 more rows. Okay, I just got done with my last row, and you know that you're done when you can count the spaces and count 5 spaces diagonally. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you know that you've done the amount that you need. Then you'll just slip stitch after your chain 3 in this very last chain 3 space. And then for row 7, you want to chain 3 and turn. Now we're going to be starting our cluster stitch, and the cluster stitch will be worked all in one chain 3 space. So you want to start off by yarning over, pulling up a loop, pulling through only 2 loops. Repeat that 2 more times. Pulling through only 2 loops, yarning over, going to the space for the 3rd time, yarn over, pull through only 2 loops. Now you have 3 incomplete double crochets, and you have 4 loops on your hook. You'll want to yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, chain 1, and then that finishes your cluster. Then you want to do the same for the next. Yarn over, go into the next chain 3 space, yarn over, pull through only 2 loops, yarn over, go into the same chain 3 space, pull through only 2 loops. One more time, pull through only 2 loops, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, and don't forget chain 1. You'll do that all the way down your row. Don't forget the chain 3 space on the end. And I will see you back here when you get done. Okay, I just got to the very end. I'm doing my last cluster of the row. Pull through all 4 loops, and then you want to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and turn. And now you're ready for row 9. What you want to do this row is you want to slip stitch in this space between the clusters. So you have your chain 3, you'll slip stitch here in between the clusters, then you'll chain 3 again, then slip stitch again in between the next clusters, and you will continue this down your row. So continue to chain 3, slip stitch in the space between the next clusters, and you're going through the space, not the stitch. And I'll see you back here in a moment. Okay, when you finish the row, you want to do like you did before. You want to chain 3 and turn, and you'll be slip stitching again in your chain 3 spaces. Be sure that you are doing in the chain 3 spaces this round and not in the stitch below. You got to make sure and be mindful of that, because sometimes you'll go down in between in the stitch itself. You just want to stay in the chain 3 spaces. So for rows 9 through 12, you're going to be doing the chain 3, slip stitch in the chain 3 space. Okay, just finished my rows that I needed. Again, you can make sure to count. You have 5 spaces in a row, and then I'll tell you how to finish your blanket. Now the 2 sizes of the blankets that I did, these 2 here, I did what's called sections. So these 5 chain 3 spaces and the cluster stitch together are one section, is what I'd call it. And I had 17 sections total for each of these blankets. And it measured 89 centimeters or 35 inches in length, so the long way, and then 79 centimeters by 31 inches this way on the width. So when you've got that length and or whatever length you desire, you don't have to do the length that I had. What you want to do is get to this point. You want to get to where you just finished your 5 chain 3 space rows, and then you want to chain 3, actually chain 2. I think it works best with chain 2 here, and then turn, and then you'll be working 2 single crochets in each chain 3 space. This is at the very end when you're ready to finish the blanket. You just put 2 single crochets in each chain 3 space. Should be a real quick row for you. And then when you get to the end of your row, chain 1, leave enough of a tail so that you can work it into your blanket. Hide all your tails from changing your skeins, and then your blanket will be finished. And let me get my blankets here. Oop. And that is it. That is how you make this elegant baby blanket, and I hope that you can make one for somebody that you love. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you're a first-time watcher, please don't forget to subscribe. Also, check me out on Facebook. I share free links to patterns there and has the most up-to-date information about what's going on with my channel. So please don't forget to click like, and please don't forget to share this video. Thanks so much for watching.